Will I ever drink alcohol again? If we've not met, my name is Leon Sylvester. I haven't drank now for 7 years. It took me 10 years to get to this point where I feel no desire to drink. But today I'm going to unpack this question. Will I ever drink alcohol again? The purpose of this video is to really show you my mindset, because the goal of my channel is to help you make this change permanent. So you can probably guess the answer to my question, but I'm not just going to give it to you. You're going to have to wait because I need to unpack it. You need to see the layers to why I'm going to answer this question the way that I answer it. And the layers are going to give you ammunition. I want to show you my mindset and my thought process to the answer of this question, because it is going to make such a big difference in your life. I'm not saying that from a place of superiority. I'm just sharing what's worked for me, what's worked for the clients that I've helped over the years. I've worked with 450 clients now. I've got a stop drinking coaching business. I've been featured in Men's Health, the BBC. In fact, a academic psychologist recently wrote a report, which is now in Google Scholar. So when I give you my answers, it's not coming from a place of superiority. It's purely coming from a place of experience. To start the video off, I need to start with the phrase control. So I work with an awful lot of people who, when they start working with me, they're not fully ready to stop drinking. And I always explain to them that's normal. If you were fully ready, you wouldn't be talking to me in the first place. You'd have already fixed the problem. So I'm sure a lot of people are hoping that I make this video and I say, yes, one day I plan to do it again in a lower amount. I'm not going to say that, but I like to throw around the word control. Now, I've seen other people that have similar businesses and help the similar kind of people I help. And when they've used the word control, they've encouraged people to drink alcohol. In fact, I have seen stop drinking coaches. I have seen people that run stop drinking companies still drink alcohol. To me, that's ludicrous, but I'm not here to judge. Whatever. Maybe it works for them. Maybe it's working for their customers, their clients. I don't know. If you want my honest opinion, it's total madness. Because when I use the word control, I'm not saying that I drink, but I am saying I am in true control of my drinking. True control is being able to look at alcohol and make a logical choice whether or not you want to drink it. Every single time I am met with that choice, I always choose to not drink. To me, that is control. Being able to take it or leave it whenever you want, but then never taking it because you have no desire to take it. That's control. It's the same way I'm in control of jumping off a cliff. It's the same way I'm in control of jumping in front of a car that's moving towards me. I have true control over that. It doesn't mean I go and do it though, because it would be ridiculous. The same way that putting poison, ethanol, this highly addictive drug into my body, it would be like rolling a dice. And if it lands on a 6, I die. Right? Why would I ever do that? It's playing with fire. I'm going to sound fanatical in this video, but these are my real thoughts. This is how I actually feel about this problem. So whenever you hear me mention the word control in any of my content, just know, when I say control, I don't mean drink. True control is being able to take it or leave it whenever you want, but always choosing to leave it. The reason why I'm in this place where I can do that is because I've changed my paradigm. I no longer see alcohol as something that adds value in my life. I see it as this addictive drug, this poison, this thing that's just going to ruin my life. I have no positive association with alcohol anymore, so there is no chance I'm ever going to drink it again. I kind of gave away the answer to the question, but let me unpack it further. Now, I am saying this from a position of having gone through this process of reframing the way I view alcohol, which probably isn't where you're at right now. Maybe you are there, maybe you've already stopped drinking, but if you're watching this channel, maybe not. The solution to your problem is to fix your world view. You need to fix the way that you view alcohol. How? Well, what you can do is do what I did, do what I teach my clients to do what I do in my program, but it's to use a mental model called first principles thinking. All this is getting a problem. It's breaking it down into its component parts. It's studying the individual component parts of the problem and then putting them back together to create a new paradigm. So instead of doing what everybody else is doing, and because, if you think about it, if you want to stop drinking alcohol and you go to a friend, you go to a doctor, you find somebody else that you know that stopped drinking alcohol, what are you likely to be told? Reduce your drinking. Maybe you get told, come to an AA meeting. Maybe you get told, well, just stop. I'm just tough, right? It's not really very helpful advice. But that would be an example of reasoning from analogy. Reasoning from first principles is really breaking it down and studying the parts of the problem. And you do this through reading books, through watching YouTube channels like mine. I'm sure there's plenty of other YouTube channels out there, podcasts, blogs on the internet. But the whole idea is to break it down and look, okay, so let's really break down addiction. Let's break down this term, alcoholic. Let's break down alcohol and the addictive properties of the drug. And let's try and study them all and then put them back together so we see it for what it is. So we can unlearn this conditioning and we can get into a state of mind where we have control. Now, if you want help doing that, that's what I do with my business. That's what my coaching company does, is we help people reframe the way that they view alcohol using first principles thinking. This has all been scientifically validated. And if you want to access a free video training that shows you how to do it, you can just click the link in the description, put in your name and email address, a new video will start, and that will show you how it works. But going back to the original question of the video, will I ever drink again? Well, the answer is if I want to, I'll do whatever I want, but I'm never going to drink a poison again. Why would I do that? So let's bring it back a bit, because again, you might not be there right now. I want to give you another quick example. When I was a teenager, I try not to talk about this stuff too much, because as I grew up and as life continued, alcohol became the biggest source of pain in my life. But when I was like 17, 18, I also took drugs. And I'm going to make this short because not everybody's going to relate with this, but I used to take this legal high with me and all of my friends. And I'm telling you, after you took this stuff, the days after taking it, it makes a hangover look like a vacation. There were times where we would start taking this stuff on a Friday night. We'd stay awake all Friday, all Saturday, and then sleep on a Sunday afternoon. And I'm not exaggerating. The Monday after, for that entire week, I couldn't even speak. I couldn't even leave my room. It was like I couldn't get words out. Will I ever take that again? Of course not. You couldn't pay me. If you gave me $100,000, I'm not taking that stuff. If somebody came into my house with that substance, I would never talk to them again. Not from a place of judgment, but from a place of, why am I having somebody like this in my life? I'm telling you, that stuff was nasty. Like my elbows went blue, my knees went blue because of the vasoconstriction. But anyway, I don't want this channel to become about drugs. I'm just saying that when I think about that drug, my mind is like, no chance would I ever touch that again. And I use that example because I'm sure that there are a lot of drugs out there that you would never take. And we've always got to remember that alcohol is a drug, but it's not just a drug. In terms of addiction, it's one of the most severely addictive drugs on the planet. It is up there with heroin, with crack. It is no joke, alcohol. And in terms of physical damage, it's also one of the worst. If we lived in an alternate universe where alcohol was only just discovered today, it would be immediately banned. It would be the highest grade drug, however it works in America, Class A in England. Nobody would ever touch the stuff. So will I ever drink one of the most addictive, dangerous, physically harming drugs on the planet again? Of course not. But let me give you one final example. I just want to drill this home one more time. If you're still thinking, wow, but Leon, I'm not there yet, maybe one day I want to have 1 or 2 drinks, I'm going to give you a thought experiment to get past this. It's not going to be easy, but the idea is I want to kind of take you out of yourself so you can look down at yourself, almost like you're third person, and you can really just see the situation for what it is. Think of a loved one, right? A child, a friend, a family member, a spouse. Just for a second, let's change the drug. Let's just say your brother, whatever, family member, they developed a severe addiction to crack and it destroyed their life. Just imagine it, just everything in their life crumbled away. And this family member, they go to rehab, they get sober for 30 days and then they get back home. And I want you to imagine the feeling that you'd have at this point. I want you to imagine that family member walks up to you and says, dad, brother, son, whoever you are. So what I've decided to do after the rehab, now I've cleaned my life up and now I'm feeling good, is I'm going to reduce my consumption. I'm just going to smoke from that specific dealer when I have a steak on a Friday night, because I just love the combination of that dealer's crack and the steak. Can you imagine how that would feel? Can you imagine the punch in the stomach that you'd get? If that happened to me, I'd feel physically sick. I'd want to cry. I'd think, no, please, God, no. Seriously? Are there people out there that drink alcohol and have their life together? Yes, of course. I'm not going to say that they don't exist. They're nothing to envy, but they're out there. But because those people exist, and because we live in a world that's normalized drinking alcohol, we can look at people that drink and we can think, oh, maybe I could do it like them. I am so sure that there are people out there that consume other very addictive, destructive drugs and they don't get addicted to them. But just go back to that example of the family member coming home from rehab, having destroyed their life, having caused so much pain because of the drug, coming back and telling you that. Because what's the difference if it's crack cocaine or a glass of red wine? You're still not closing the door. The most important thing that you can do when it comes to this question of will I ever drink alcohol again is fix your paradigm. Change the way that you view alcohol and you will never look back. Again, if you want help doing it, you can go to soberclear.com. You can click the link in the description. You can fill in an application and book a consultation and we can see if my approach could be a good match for you. So will I ever drink alcohol again? Well, it's a little bit like asking me, will I jump out of a plane without a damn parachute on?